The docking bay of the Triune Diplomatic Academy hummed like a cathedral wrapped in machinery. Transparent walls curved above the landing pads, offering a view of nearby nebulae rippling violet and blue. Ships approached on silent thrusters, each representing a civilization that ruled star systems and empires. Mira Ward stepped out of the shuttle with a single bag slung over her shoulder. 10,000 alien eyes watched her, some with pupils, some faceted like insects, others glowing with bioluminescent intrigue. Her boots echoed against the polished alloy floor. A whisper passed through the gathered crowd. Human? The word carried across the bay like a warning. She kept her chin level, her expression calm. Years of training on Earth, hunting storms, tracking predators, and surviving terrain that tried to kill her, had taught her to be still, to observe first. Her father's voice echoed in memory, steady as granite. Power doesn't need to announce itself. Mira inhaled quietly. Metal, ozone, the faint tang of coolant from the shuttle's engines. A tall, insectoid cadet, his carapace deep emerald, leaned toward his companion and clicked mockingly. "Deathworld species," he said in their shared tongue. "Why would the Academy accept a hazard?" Mira didn't break stride. Her assigned escort, a thin avian student named Relf, flapped his wing arms nervously as he led her through soaring hallways and hovering lifts. "Humans are uncommon here," Relf chirped. "Most species avoid contact, avoid contact. A polite way of saying fear." "Because of Earth?" Mira asked. Relf bobbed his head. "Deathworld 7. The Council lists your home as hostile to sustained life." Mira almost smiled. Hostile to sustained life described her childhood nicely. Climbing cliffs without safety lines, running obstacle drills in freezing rain. Patchwork medical care from her father, Captain Elias Ward, decorated soldier, tactical legend, and single parent. Relf guided her to the instruction hall for first-year orientation. Massive banners displayed the insignias of the 3 ruling superpowers. Students filled the tiered seating, scaled, tentacled, furred, armored. She found an empty spot at the very edge, set down her bag, and sat straight-backed. The Academy Chancellor appeared on a hovering dais. "The purpose of this institution," the Chancellor said, "is to shape diplomats, the next leaders of the galaxy. You will learn negotiation, strategy, and cultural restraint." At the word restraint, a few alien cadets snickered while glancing at Mira. She ignored them. The day unfolded in sessions about trade diplomacy, universal law, and interspecies protocol. Mira listened, taking notes with precise strokes. She spoke to no one. She didn't need to. When the bell chimed for lunch break, students flowed toward the enormous cafeteria, an atrium filled with floating platforms, suspended gardens, and cascading light that seemed to shimmer without a source. Mira carried her tray, simple grain bowl, drinking water, and found a seat near a window overlooking space. Silence. Peace. Until an armored shadow blocked the starfield. Kaelvor Threx dropped his tray across from her, plates clattering like thrown stones. The alien air towered over her, silver skin, bone ridges curling back from his jaw, strength woven through every movement. His species, Karth, considered themselves born conquerors. He didn't sit. He loomed. "You are the human," he announced, voice hard as cut crystal. Mira didn't look up. "I am. Please move your tray." Kyle's lips curled. "Your species is a mistake. The Council indulged your existence. You should be grateful they let you breathe air this refined." Mira speared a piece of grain with calculated calm. "Insults are inefficient. Is there something you want?" The nearby tables quieted. Even the humming gravity stabilizers seemed to hold their breath. Kyle leaned closer. "I want to know what myth your kind believes, that a Deathworld savage could sit among heirs of power." She finally looked at him. Most students would flinch, apologize, beg to avoid confrontation. Mira simply met his eyes, unflinching. "I came here to learn diplomacy," she said, steady and composed. "Not fight." Kale laughed, a harsh metallic sound. "You think refusing to fight earns respect?" "No, but it proves control. That answer made something flicker across his face. Annoyance sharpened by confusion. Aliens equated strength with noise. Humans understood the opposite. Her restraint only agitated him more. He leaned closer, voice low and venomous. Your father begged for you to be admitted. A pathetic act. Perhaps cowardice runs in your blood. The fork slipped from Mira's fingers. Not because she was shocked, but because it was the first time she felt heat behind her ribs since she stepped off the ship. Slowly, she stood. Mira wasn't tall. She didn't radiate visible power. No exoskeleton, no fangs, no pheromones meant to intimidate. Just a girl in academy blacks, silent and controlled. Students shifted, sensing the change in atmosphere. Mira's voice was quiet. Too quiet! You can insult me, she said. You don't get to speak about him. Kyle smirked, seizing victory in what he assumed was emotional vulnerability. He raised his hand in a human military salute and bowed mockingly. Perhaps he failed to teach you courage. The room froze. Mira didn't blink, didn't flinch. She simply breathed, shoulders loosening, posture settling into stark stillness. For the first time, Kale hesitated. Something in her expression, calm, blank, unreadable, felt predatory. When she spoke again, her tone held neither anger nor heat. Just a promise. Kyle Vor Threx, heir of the Karth Dominion, she said clearly, projecting her voice so the entire cafeteria heard every word. Do you wish to issue a formal combat challenge? Gasps rippled through the hall. Kyle blinked, caught off guard. You would accept? I am accepting. Relth fluttered his wings in a panic from a nearby table. Mira, combat challenges can end in hospitalization. Kale laughed loudly, eager for spectators. Very well, tomorrow, Arena Dome 3, I will show the Academy what a fragile human truly... Mira stepped closer, cutting off his sentence by existing too near, invading the personal space of someone who had never experienced refusal. She looked up at him. I'm giving you one chance, she whispered. Walk away. Her voice held no threat, no rage, just certainty. That was what terrified every species classified above humans on the danger charts. Humans didn't bluff. Kale sneered. See you in the arena, Deathworld girl. He turned sharply and strode away, armor clinking. Only when he vanished into the corridor did the cafeteria stir again. Voices erupted, excited and fearful. A human accepted a challenge. She didn't even raise her voice. What is Earth teaching their children? Mira picked up her fork, finished her food, and stood to leave. No adrenaline. No gloating, just quiet, because she knew something Kale didn't. Control is a weapon. The arena dome looked like a dropped planet. Smooth metal, obsidian black, and humming with magnetic containment fields. Above it hung a floating hollow screen projecting the dual participants. Kale Vor Threx, Karth Dominion heir, Mira Ward, human cadet. Deathworld origin students packed the viewing terraces. Species who preferred elevation clung to walls. Aquatic cadets floated in suspended tanks. Every conversation hovered around one question. Why would a human accept a combat challenge? Mira walked through the preparation corridor in silence. Her steps measured, her breathing slow. She didn't stretch. She didn't hype herself up. She didn't need to. She tied her hair back, the band snapping softly. Her father had taught her that ritual before a fight was a distraction. Stillness is your strength. If your opponent thinks you're unprepared, they'll rush. Let them. A memory surfaced. The smell of damp earth, nighttime rain hitting corrugated metal, her father holding a flashlight in a broken greenhouse on Earth. What's rule number 1? Don't escalate first. Good. Rule number 2? End it when I choose. She touched her wristband. The arena doors hissed open. Bright lights washed over her. The sight waiting on the arena floor was absurd. Kale had arrived with a full honor guard. All of them armored and decorated, carrying weapons that buzzed with energy. His armor, now fully deployed, shimmered with interlocking plates like a living shell. His species called it battle flesh, grown, not forged. It flexed like muscle but struck like steel. Kyle bowed dramatically, his voice amplified through the arena speakers. Human, you may kneel now to avoid humiliation. Mira blinked once. Why would I kneel? To acknowledge superiority. I don't acknowledge fantasies. Laughter rippled around them. From aliens who assumed Mira was naive, from others amused by her quiet defiance. The Chancellor's voice echoed through the speakers. Combat is until submission. No lethal strikes by design. Begin when the signal sounds. Kale cracked his neck, spikes along his spine rising. His armor expanded, covering his arms and shoulders, each plate clicking like a triggered weapon. You should have stayed silent. Ward! Mira walked to the center line, hands loose at her sides. I tried. The arena lights dimmed. A single tone sounded. Kale launched forward. He moved faster than a reptilian sprinter, armored limbs cutting through air with lethal intention. He swung a heavy strike designed to send her sprawling. Mira shifted her weight half a step and let it pass. Kale stumbled through empty space. Gasps erupted from the stands. Mira didn't attack. She just kept moving. Small pivots, barely any effort. Kyle lunged again. And again, each strike powerful but predictable. He was used to opponents who panicked, who met force with force. Mira flowed around him like water. That only made him angrier. Stand still, Kale roared. No, she said calmly. He slammed a fist downward toward her head. Mira dropped to a crouch, pivoted, and slid backward, letting his strike crack the arena tiles. Shards scattered. Kale stared at the shattered floor, disbelief widening his eyes. You're quick, he growled. No, she replied. You're impatient. Something in Kale's expression twisted. He wasn't used to opponents speaking to him, much less dissecting him. Mira circled him, observing. Shoulder plates swell when he attacks. Knees stiffen before lunging. Breathing changes right before a charge. She cataloged weaknesses quietly, efficiently. In the stands, whispers turned unsettled. She's not attacking. She's studying him. Why isn't she fighting back? Relth gripped the railing tightly. She's waiting for something. Mira stepped back, maintaining distance. She raised her voice just enough for Kale to hear. Walk away, Kale bared his teeth. Coward. No, she murmured. Control! He roared and charged, blades snapping out from his wrist armor, glowing with charged plasma. The audience shouted. Plasma deployment was allowed, but most used it only as a threat. Mira sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, and used his momentum to throw him off balance. She never yanked, never forced. She redirected. Kale crashed into the floor. The plasma blade vanished with the impact. Silence. Kale scrambled to his feet, humiliation burning in every movement. Fury contorted his features. He reached behind his back and grabbed his shoulder armor. With a savage growl, he ripped off a piece of his armored plating and threw it aside. Gasps exploded. His honor guard panicked. He's shedding armor. This is aggression form. He's going full battle state. This violates council etiquette. Kale, now fueled purely by ego and rage, rolled his shoulders. Without the shoulder plates, his movements became smoother, faster. He rushed her again. Blows came harder, sharper. Mira blocked with open palms and forearms, absorbing minimal force while redirecting the rest. Her father's voice threaded through memory. If they're stronger, don't resist strength. Make it hit nothing! Kale swung again. Mira parried. He kicked. She spun away. Watching her was like watching gravity ignore its job. He crashed forward, breath ragged. You fight like a coward, he spat. No, she replied. You fight like a hammer. Everything is a nail. He swung wide, desperate to land anything. Mira stepped into his swing, not away, and caught his wrist. She shifted her weight and locked his elbow with one precise movement. Kyle froze, pain paralyzing him. She leaned in just enough that only he could hear. I asked you to walk away. She twisted, not enough to dislocate, just enough to force him to one knee. The crowd erupted. A human forced a Karth to kneel. She didn't even strike him. She controlled him without force. Kale strained, trembling, unable to break her hold. His pride shattered louder than the tiles beneath them. Yield, she said. Never. Mira adjusted her grip. Pressure increased, not pain, but the realization of how easily pain could follow. Her voice was low, Steady. Submission isn't an insult. It's an intelligent choice. Kyle hesitated. Then finally, I yield. The moment the word left him, Mira released him. No victory pose. No gloating. She stepped back, letting him rise with whatever dignity he had left. Silence smothered the arena. Mira bowed. Not deeply, just respectfully. A gesture of closure, Kale stood rigid, his honor guard avoiding his eyes. The Chancellor's voice shook through the speakers. Combat concluded. Winner? Mira Ward of Earth. Mira walked toward the exit, unhurried. As she passed Relth, she spoke softly. I didn't want to fight. Relth exhaled, relief fluttering through his feathers. Then why accept? Mira paused, hand on the railing. Because he insulted my father. Relth stared. That's all it takes. She didn't look back. That's all that will ever be required. She stepped into the corridor, leaving the arena and 1,000 shocked cadets behind, because they finally understood humans didn't fight for pride, or power, or spectacle. They fought when something precious was threatened, and when they did, they never lost. Word of the duel spread across the academy faster than any official announcement. By morning, every corridor, every shared stream, every social channel replayed clips from the arena. Mira redirecting Kale's attacks, forcing him to kneel, releasing him without triumph. No commentary needed. The footage showed one truth: a human won without violence. Mira entered the lecture hall quietly, slipping into a seat at the back. Conversations dimmed as if her presence absorbed sound. Someone whispered, "Deathworld restraint." Terrifying, another voice murmured. She controlled him with one hand. Mira opened her notebook and ignored them. Professor Haroun, a serpentine instructor whose scales shimmered gold, slithered to the front platform. His voice resonated with ease. Our topic today? Dominance versus power. The difference is subtle, yet critical. Without warning, the screen behind him showed the arena clip, Mira holding Kale's arm, forcing his submission without breaking a sweat. Mira froze. Haroun wasn't subtle. He gestured toward the frozen image. Observe the human cadet's posture. No aggression, no fear, no need to harm. Mira closed her notebook slowly. This wasn't a lesson. This was a spotlight. Kyle sat across the hall, rigid and humiliated, his arm in a biosplint. He didn't look at her. He didn't look at anyone. Haroun's voice shifted, gaining weight. Power is measured by what you choose not to do. Mira's heart beat once, heavy. She felt every eye. Haroun turned to her. Cadet Ward, in your culture, what defines power? Her pulse remained steady. Self-control and dominance? Control of others, the professor nodded. Which is more dangerous? Dominance, Mira answered without hesitation. It requires insecurity. A ripple moved through the hall. Haroun dismissed them early. Study the lesson. Class adjourned. Chairs scraped. Whispers resumed. Mira remained seated, letting the rush of cadets thin out. Relth appeared at her side, wings tucked nervously. You did well, he whispered. But some of them aren't celebrating. His feathers twitched toward Kale's cluster of Karth heirs gathering near the door. They weren't whispering. They were glaring. Mira packed her things. They'll get over it. Relth swallowed. Karth don't forget humiliation. Mira's voice stayed calm. That's their burden, not mine. She walked toward the exit. Kale and his entourage blocked the doorway. Kale's voice was low, brittle. You made me kneel before everyone. No, she said. You made yourself kneel when you attacked without thinking. A few cadets nearby inhaled sharply. Kale stepped closer. I issued a formal complaint. Humans shouldn't be included in combat challenges. Your species is unpredictable. Unpredictable, she echoed. Is that what terrifies you? He tried to hold her gaze. He failed. You humiliated me, he growled. You humiliated yourself, she repeated. She moved past him, but he grabbed her wrist. Bad choice. Mira reacted without thought, stepping into his grip. rotating her arm and applying a pressure point that sent him dropping to his knees again. Gasping, she didn't twist. She didn't harm. She only reminded him. "You don't grab a human without consent," she said quietly. The gesture lasted less than a second. She released him and continued walking. The corridor broke into murmurs. Cale stared at his own hands like they had betrayed him. His voice, small and cracked, followed her. "What are you?" Mira didn't turn. "Human." Council summons later that afternoon. Her name flashed on her interface. "Cadet Mira Ward. Report to Interspecies Council Room 07. Relth panicked." "That's where they hold disciplinary hearings." "I didn't do anything wrong. That doesn't matter. They fear your victory." Mira walked alone down a long corridor lined with banners. The doors to the council chamber slid open, revealing representatives from multiple worlds. The Chancellor stood at the head of the table. "Mira Ward," he began. "Your actions in the arena have alarmed certain empires. They request clarification." Cale's father, a massive Karth warrior diplomat, leaned forward. "Your offspring displayed Deathworld aggression." Mira met his stare. "I displayed restraint." "You forced a Karth heir to kneel." "No," she corrected. "He forced himself." Council members exchanged looks. The Chancellor folded his hands. "You must understand, Cadet Ward, our species maintain peace through predictability." "Violence between heirs of ruling houses," Mira cut in, voice steady. "There was no violence." Silence. "You were challenged," the Karth emissary accused, "and I gave him chances to walk away." "Why refuse to strike? Why refuse to dominate?" Mira inhaled once. "Because humans don't fight to win arguments. We fight to protect what matters." Kyle's father narrowed his eyes. "And what mattered here? My father's honor?" A stir of movement rippled through the chamber. Something shifted. Not fear. Understanding, Harun's voice broke the quiet. "Humans are dangerous, yes, but not because they escalate. Because they end conflicts." Mira turned to leave. The Chancellor spoke gently. "One more thing. The clip of your duel has spread throughout the galactic network. Billions of viewers have seen it." Mira stopped. "You are now the unofficial representative of humanity. That wasn't part of the plan." The outburst. She reached her quarters and shut the door. Leaning her back against the cool metal, her hands trembled. Not from fear. From something harder to swallow. Responsibility. Her father's face appeared on her. "Display. A recorded voicemail from weeks ago. Know your instinct isn't violence, but if someone pushes you, show them what restraint protects." Her throat tightened. She wasn't here to be a symbol. She wasn't here to be filmed. She just wanted to learn. Diplomacy. She just wanted to make her father proud. A soft chirp interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Relth stood outside her door, tiny wings held awkwardly. "Mira, you left your notebook." She let him in. He stared at her, hesitant. Cale's status update shows he withdrew the complaint. He also requested a reassignment to basic etiquette tutoring. Relth hesitated. "And he listed you as required observer." Mira blinked. "He wants me to watch him learn manners?" Relth nodded, earnest and terrified. Mira sighed. "Maybe humiliation builds character." Relth tilted his head. "You didn't break him in the arena." "No, but something changed." "Yes. What changed him?" Mira's answer was simple. "I gave him a choice. Epilogue. Quiet consequences." The Academy's main holoscreen displayed a new council update. Humanity's official classification adjusted. Threat level, unpredictable but controlled. And beneath that, a single memo. Do not provoke a human where restraint exists. Mira walked through the hub the next morning. No one whispered. No one mocked. Cadets from every species nodded respectfully. Kyle stood waiting by the training hall, eyes lowered. Not in defeat, but acknowledgement. "I reviewed footage," he said. "You could have broken my arm." Or worse. Mira nodded once. "Yes, why didn't you?" She paused. "Because power isn't what you take. It's what you can walk away from." Cale bowed his head. Not forced. Not humiliated. Grateful. That was the moment the Academy understood. Humans weren't feared because they were violent. They were feared because they could choose not to be. Weeks passed. The academy settled into its routines, debates in wide-glass chambers, negotiation simulations on rotating platforms, late-night study halls overlooking star fields. But beneath the daily academic structure ran an unspoken shift. Cadets no longer mocked Mira. They watched her, not out of fear, at least, not only fear. They observed her adaptability. They observed her pattern. Mira never inserted herself into conflict. She never boasted. She simply learned. And that made her dangerous in a way none of them had accounted for. Galactic Diplomacy Simulation. Day 31. The students assembled inside the primary diplomatic simulator, a room layered with holographic projection systems and environmental controls. The simulation would test each cadet's ability to manage conflict between two warring planets. Professor Haroun slithered to the center, tail sweeping in controlled arcs. "Your objective is simple," he announced. "Negotiate a ceasefire between opposing factions. Failure results in a simulated planetary strike." Screens around the room flashed. "Briath Coalition versus Terrasynth Regime." He gestured toward the console. "Karth Dominion Air Kael'vor, begin." Kael strode forward, armored plating minimized. He stood straight, composed, refined, almost unrecognizable from the hot-headed brute in the arena. He opened with aggressive concessions. "You will cease orbital bombardment immediately," he stated to the projected factions. "Submit a resource pact. Accept Karth mediation." The negotiation faltered. Kael pushed harder, demanding submission. His voice grew sharp. Within minutes, the holographic world detonated. Simulation failure. Professor Haroun nodded. "Force is not always persuasive. Next." Kael stepped back, jaw tight. Mira saw frustration burning beneath his skin. Haroun pointed. "Mira Ward of Earth." Mira walked to the console. Relth whispered, more nervous than she was. "You don't have to impress them." She barely heard him. The simulation restarted. Two holographic diplomats glowed before her, one aflame with rage, the other vibrating with fear. She didn't speak immediately. She studied. She scanned tone, posture, micro-expressions. She watched how each side reacted when the other inhaled. Tiny details, hidden cues. "Read the room before you enter the conversation." Her father's voice. She flicked her eyes across the negotiation metrics. Both sides feared loss, territory, status, control. Fear, she knew, was louder than anger. Mira leaned forward slightly. "Why do you want peace?" The Terrasynth leader blinked. "To ensure my people survive." Mira nodded. "And you?" she asked the Briath representative. "To prevent more death." "Then we already agree on the most important point." Mira folded her hands. "You both want to stop the dying, not a demand. Not an order. A truth." The holographic metrics shifted, aggression levels dropping. She continued. "Let's make the deal simple. No territorial concessions. No resource theft. A 3-week ceasefire. Then, dialogue." The simulation paused, calculating. A moment later, the system flashed. Conflict de-escalated. Negotiation successful. Applause rose. Not loud, but sharp and genuine. Relth's wings fluttered with relief. Kael stared. Not angry. Not humiliated this time. Awakened. After class, Kael intercepted Mira near the observation deck, where gas clouds swirled around vibrant stars. "You didn't force them?" he said. "No." "You guided?" Mira shrugged. "People don't follow orders. They follow clarity," Kael exhaled slowly. "You changed the simulation parameters using only words." She glanced at him. "I didn't. They changed themselves. I only gave them a direction." He absorbed that. Something deeper formed behind his eyes. "Respect. Mira." Kael hesitated. "I want to learn restraint." She looked at him, genuinely surprised. "Why ask me?" "Because you have it." Mira paused. A strange warmth pressed against her ribs. Growing up, restraint wasn't an academic term. It was survival. "Then meet me at Euro 600, she said finally. Observation deck. "We start with breathing," Kael nodded. "No pride, no ego. Just a student asking to learn." Training, day 35. The observation deck was silent except for the ambient hum of station machinery. The transparent dome framed an endless sea of stars. Kyle arrived early. Mira stood with her hands clasped behind her back, breathing slowly. "When I say inhale," she instructed, "you inhale. When I say hold, you hold. No armor, no force, just breath." Kyle nodded. "Inhale." They breathed together. "Hold." Kale trembled slightly, unused to stillness. "Exhale." Minutes passed. Mira's voice remained steady, patient. "Your strength isn't in breaking things. It's in choosing not to." Kale opened his eyes. "And what if someone threatens what I protect?" Mira looked out at the starfield. "Then don't hold back." Kale absorbed that like scripture. Academy cafeteria. Day 41 Mira sat alone at a table eating quietly. Today the cafeteria was loud again, but in a different way. Cadets from multiple species drifted closer to her table, not hostile, not mocking, curious. A scaled Zenari approached carefully. "Human Mira, if someone insults a Karth's father, they attack immediately. But why didn't you?" Mira laid her spoon down. Her answer was simple. "Emotion is not a command," the Zenari blinked. "But you did defend your father." "Yes. Why then? Why not the first insult? Why not all of them?" Mira leaned back in her chair. "Because reaction gives someone control over me." Gasps fluttered around the table. Relth whispered, "You choose when to fight." "No," she corrected softly. "I choose why." Kale, sitting across from her now, not as an enemy but a classmate, nodded slowly. "That's power," he said. Mira smiled faintly. "That's humanity. Diplomatic exam. Final evaluation. The last test of the term was the hardest." Each cadet was given an anonymous role in a complex negotiation with hidden objectives. Mira was assigned mediator. Kale was assigned belligerent faction leader. The others smirked. Certain Kale would overpower the negotiation. The simulation began. Kale slammed his fist on the table. "We refuse terms. Withdraw, or we launch counterstrikes." Mira didn't react. "You sound threatened," gasps rippled. Kale froze. "Threatened. You are elevating volume instead of presenting options." "That means you are unsure," Kyle inhaled sharply. Mira continued, calm and precise. "State your concern without aggression." Kale's jaw tensed. Finally, he lowered his voice. "We fear losing autonomy," Mira leaned in. "Then let's design terms which protect it." The simulation rebalanced. Negotiation stabilized. Professor Haroon ended the test early. Human Mira Ward has demonstrated mastery. Kyle Vorthrex, impressive improvement. He looked at Mira directly. "You teach without forcing. That is the rarest form of influence." Mira exhaled. Not triumph. Relief. Graduation. Summary, when graduation came. The council displayed a formal record on the central holoscreen. Cadet Mira Ward, Earth, Deathworld classification. Rank, top diplomatic strategist, evaluation. Uses restraint as strength. Does not escalate, ends conflict decisively. Under the remarks section, if threatened, walk away. If cornered, end it. Across the hall, Kale bowed, not out of obligation, out of respect. "You changed me," he said quietly. Mira shook her head. "You changed yourself?" "Because you showed me how." She thought of her father, of storms, bruises, discipline, and love. "Control is the sharpest weapon," he used to say. "Freedom is the shield," she faced Kale. "Just remember, we don't fight to win. We fight to protect." Kale nodded. "And we don't need to prove strength," he added. Mira smiled. Small. Genuine. Exactly. When she boarded the shuttle to return home, the Academy's holoscreen displayed her name beneath a new warning in bold gold text. "Do not provoke a human." Not because humans were violent, but because they understood when not to be.